Welcome back. Good morning, students. So today we are going to discussing about 10th class biology chapter 2. First of all, let us know that the definition of the respiration, the respiration of the definition. So generally, if we say that simply definition, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe in, BI, and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out is called respiration. Breathe in, breathe out is called respiration, but it is not real definition. Why? Because as we are studying 10th class, respiration have the broad definition, that is the process of oxidation of the food material. The process of oxidation of the process of oxidation of the food material in the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen is called respiration. Is called respiration. OFO means oxidation of the food material in the presence of oxygen. Oxidation of the food material is nothing but breakdown of the food material when in the presence of oxygen. So this is called this is respiration. So once again I will say the process of oxidation of the food material in the presence of oxygen is called respiration. So respiration generally it takes place almost all living being, including plants also. Plants, animals, human being, all kind of living being లో రెస్పిరేషన్ అనేది జరుగుతుంది. సో కాబట్టి రెస్పిరేషన్ కి బ్రాడ్ డెఫినేషన్ ఏంటి అంటే పోఫో అంటే ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ oxidation of food material in the presence of oxygen is called respiration. Process of oxidation of the food material is called respiration. Oxidation is not the breakdown. So this is respiration. So later we will study respiration, types of respiration. Two types. That is uh, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Later we will study. So now, so here you go to that. Respiration is the important life process. Respiration is important, one of the life processes. So without respiration, no living being would not survive. So the word respiration, this is important in examination level. The word respiration derived from Latin word is called respire. Is called respire. Its meaning to breathe. To breathe refers to the whole chain of process from the inhalation of air to the use of oxygen in the cells. So to begin with we will study the relation of gases and process of respiration. So let us go to that. So it is come in examination. It will come in an examination level. That is respiration word derived from Latin. That is called respire, which means to breathe. This is keep in our mind. Discovery of gases. Discovery of gases. So Lavoisier played major role. The term respiration came into use a century after the word breathe was used. In the 14th century, that is, we know that air is a mixture of gases. Air is a mixture of gases. It consists oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen, all several other components. And let us go to the so here you can keep in our mind important word. 18th century, Lavoisier and Priestley did a comprehensive work on properties of gases. Their exchange and respiration we came to know something, but so already studied about Priestley experiment in first unit, first chapter. Priestley experiment. By the Priestley experiment, what we will get? Oxygen, discovery of oxygen by the Priestley, and the name was given by Lavoisier. And recall once Priestley experiment here. So this paragraph is very, very important. It play a major role in examination level. Lavoisier carried several experiments to understand the properties of gases, in which Lavoisier, Lavoisier thought that the gas liberated on heating powdered charcoal in a bell jar kept over water in a trough was fixed air. In those days, carbon dioxide was known as a fixed air. So when charcoal is burning or heating, so one of the gas is liberated. That gas is called fixed air. That fixed is nothing but carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Fixed air is nothing but carbon dioxide. Next series of experiments conducted and combustion of phosphorus in a bell jar. Combustion of phosphorus. Combustion means fire, providing fire. మండించడం. Combustion means మండించడం. Phosphorus ను మండించినప్పుడు బెల్ జార్ లో ఈ showed that some of the air combined with the phosphorus to glow, to fire. One of the gas is combined with phosphorus. So it is not a water vapor, but his final words that the substance which combines with phosphorus is either air itself or another elastic fluid present in the certain proportion in the air which we breathe. So this is the respirable air, a component of air that also helped burning. Finally, he concluded that what combined the phosphorus to glow, to fire, that is he concluded that as a which is helping to burning of phosphorus, that elastic fluid is nothing but here respirable air, nothing but oxygen, nothing but oxygen. So here you have to keep in your mind the air which we breathe, oxygen. The help, which one is helpful to burning is the oxygen. The respirable air also is oxygen, and the elastic fluid here that should be considered as a oxygen. So here this paragraph is indicate that there will be a two air, or we can say that is respirable air, fixed air, are nothing but vitiated air, vitiated air. So fixed air nothing but carbon dioxide. Vitiated air is not, sorry, fixed air. And according to Lavoisier, what was produced by combustion of substance, that is the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is released while combustion of substances. What did Lavoisier find out about air from his experiment? So what conclusion can be drawn from lab? So respirable air is nothing but oxygen. The fixed air is nothing but carbon dioxide. We can give conclusion in this way. So here a few lines from a textbook of human physiology written by renowned chemist John Doppler. John Doppler, sorry, John Doppler, mid-19th century goes like the chief material which a living being receives are matter that can be burnt, water, oxygen, gas, and out of the action of these upon one another, all the physical phenomena of its life arises. What the body expels outside is water, oxides of carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, and others. So here what what should be receives or receiving by the living, that is to burn, to to oxidize the material inside the body of organism, that is water and oxygen. What should be after burning and after oxidation, what will we should be release and expel outside, that is water and oxides of carbon, nothing but carbon dioxide, some amount of phosphorus and sulfur and others, etc. So, so we can see that the role of major components, elements in the process of respiration gone by. So the events involved were not very clearly understood, but people believed that relation between that heat produced in the body and the process of respiration. So let us go to the major steps which are involved in the respiration. It is important in examination level. Sometimes exactly and directly they may give these boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They may give these boxes, and in some of in one of the box they want to mention the topic or title, so that you have to keep in your mind the major steps in respiration. First of all, breathing. Breathing means taking air into the body. Then when breathing, what happen? Oxygen is enter into the cells and where gases exchange in the lungs. After that, from the lungs transport to the cells by the blood. Finally, in the cells, gases exchange takes place. Means in the cells, carbon dioxide is leaved and enter into the blood, and whatever oxygen present in the blood enter into the cells. It is called cellular respiration. Why? Because in finally, when oxygen is reached by the blood vessel through the blood, now oxygen is entered into the cell, whereas carbon dioxide is formed in the cell inside the, when the carbon dioxide is formed inside the cell, this one enter into the blood. So this blood is carried to the lungs, then lungs where from this lungs carbon dioxide from the lungs expelled outside. So in this way, oxygen is entered into the lungs, then blood, then cells. So mainly here in which level gases are exchanging. So here inside the cell, what's happening by the blood? Oxygen is carrying into the cell, carbon dioxide is carrying by the blood into the lungs, then lungs should expel outside. So inside the cell, gases are exchanging. Means oxygen is entering, carbon dioxide is leaving. This is called exchanging of gases, where taking place inside the cell. Hence, it is called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration. So this is most important in examination level. It should come in sometimes. So here matter also they given. So you go through that. So air movement into and out of lungs, exchange of gases between alveoli and blood. So alveoli are the structural functional units of the lungs. So alveoli are the bag-like structures or balloon-like structures which are present in innumerable in the lungs. So in which gases are exchanging. Then after exchanging, transport of oxygen from blood capillaries of alveoli to body cells returns to the carbon dioxide from blood into alveoli by diffusion. So blood may act as a medium of transport of gases. Here, blood should play major role transporting of gases. Oxygen is carried from lungs to cells, carbon dioxide carry from cells to lungs. So in which level oxygen is from the blood is enter into the cells, carbon dioxide from cells into the blood. This is called exchange of gases. Utilization of oxygen by cell to combust the glucose to produce carbon dioxide and water release energy to be used for life process. So in the cellular respiration, what's happened? Whatever we eaten, whatever taken the food material, it will be break down. when oxygen is arrived. So in the presence of oxygen only, food material is break down, energy is released. That energy we use to carry out other works. Again, to carry out respiration also, we use some of the energy. So this one also is important. So breathing have two major steps, that is inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation or inspiration. Inhalation is also called inspiration. Exhalation also called expiration. So inhalation means taking air into the body. Exhalation means sending carbon dioxide or gases from outside of the body. So inhalation means taking into taking into the body, sending air outside of the body. Exhalation. So these two steps are most important. So breathing have two major steps: inhalation, exhalation. And here some of the questions. What does this experiment is indicate that? So how the gases are, inspiration and expiration is occurring. This picture is indicate that how the which gas turns lime water milky? Carbon dioxide. Which gas is present in greater quantities in the breathe out air as compared to air around us? So, which gas is present in greater quantities in the breathe out air? Means carbon dioxide. We are also aware of the fact that water vapor deposits on a mirror if we breathe out on it. Yes. So where does the water vapor come from in exhaled air? So this water vapor comes from the cell during respiration, during while exhalation. So here this experiment is important. So what's happening? So here A and B test tubes are there. So A test tube contain the water, B test tube have the lime water. So when we expelled gases into these tubes, the white the water does not turns into color, milky white color, whereas lime water turns into milky white color. Why because here the exhaled air consists the carbon dioxide. This convert to the carbon dioxide convert to the lime water into white white precipitate. So here carbon dioxide should play major role to convert the lime water into white precipitate. Let us go to the respiratory system, the pathway of air. So this diagram also in choose the correct answer or bit paper, it is important. So these are the major parts we can see here. So we know that how should we breathe both, that is mouth and nose, but nose we should use 99% to breathe. So nose have nostrils, after that nasal cavities, then pharynx, then larynx, that is trachea, larynx, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs. These are the respiratory system parts. When you say that respiratory tract, it consists of these following parts. So here the given lungs are made up of by the alveoli. Alveoli are the main functional and structural units because of in which gases are exchanging. Means carbon dioxide is leave out, oxygen is enter. So this here also gases are exchanging. So next go to the This is the flow chart is important, the flow chart. So flow chart you have to keep in an examination level. So first part, nostrils. So nose have two holes are called nostrils. After the nostrils, there will be a space present inside the that space, two spaces is called nasal cavities. Nasal cavities. After that, there is a pharynx. Pharynx is a junction. Already I said here, air from the nose, food from the mouth, both are mixed here. From here to food goes to esophagus and air goes to larynx. So larynx is the first part of the trachea. Larynx is the first part of the trachea. Then trachea. So here both are very, very important. Larynx is called voice box, VB. Larynx, why we should call as a voice box? Because of larynx consists vocal sacs, which makes sound, which makes sound. So because of larynx consists to vocal sacs, which makes sound. Hence, larynx is also called voice box. Next, trachea, through in which air is passed into the lungs. So that is the reason trachea is called windpipe. Trachea is also called windpipe. So another names you have to keep in your mind. Larynx also called voice box. Trachea is called windpipe because air through in which enter into the lungs. So from the trachea, then trachea is divided into two parts. Why? Because two lungs we have. So that one of the branch goes to left lung, another one is goes to right lung. So that they have two from the trachea is divided into two branches. These are called bronchi. These are called bronchi. Each bronchi open into lungs. Each bronchi open into lungs, and further they divide into a small tubes called bronchioles. Bronchioles. So bronchioles opens into a small chambers are called alveoli. Small chambers are called alveoli. So alveoli then send to oxygen into the blood, into the blood. So these are the, again, when the oxygen is enter into the blood, from the blood carbon dioxide is enter into the alveoli, bronchioles, bronchi, trachea, larynx, pharynx, nasal cavities, nostrils. So in this way both gases exchanging, that is what we can say mechanism of respiration. So what should call so pathway of air, pathway of air. This flow chart is very, very important in examination level. They may, all these steps, they may kept blank in one step and ask that mention that what is the name of this step, so that this sequence, this pathway of air you must practice thoroughly. So nostrils, nasal cavities, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveoli, blood. From blood again arrow mark upward direction you have to keep. This is most important. So now this is important here. Lungs are divided into millions of small chambers that tremendously increase the moisture surface available for transfer of gases between air and blood. The lining of the lungs are much folded so that their total surface is enormous. If all alveoli our lungs are spread out, they will cover an area of 160 meter square like a tennis court. That much square, that much space is present the lungs. So like a tennis court place, when we spread the all alveoli present in both the lungs, that much space we get. And also, so here some of the questions are there. uh, what will happen if the respiratory tract is not moist? So we know that we have nose, that is nostrils. Where the nostrils are there, hairs we can see. In the same way, mucus we can see in the nasal cavities. This mucus is convert to the, so the air from outside is, air is very hot. Outside air is very hot. If we send directly this hot air into the lungs, lungs will be damaged and the respiratory tract also damaged. So that in the nasal cavities, mucus is present. This is important examination level. Mucus is present. This mucus helps to convert to the hot air into cool air. So mucus present in the nasal cavities helps to convert the hot air into cool air. And whatever dust present in the air is prevented by the hairs which are present in the nostrils. So nostrils, nasal cavities should do the excellent function. So nostrils have hairs so that they prevent the dust particles not to enter into the respiratory tract. In the same way, mucus present in the nasal cavities, it convert the hot air into cool. So then only cool air passes through the respiratory tract. Then only respiratory tract has, they are perfect in nature. So next another question. Are both lungs are similar in size? No. Right lung is larger than left lung. Sorry. So right lung is larger than left lung. Why? Because right lung is made up of three chambers, whereas left lung have two chambers only, two chambers only. And also right lung have heavy weight, left lung have less weight. So this question answer is right lung is larger than left lung. Why are alveoli so small and uncountable in number? Because of it has to, there is a need to exchange more amount of oxygen, then only uh, to accommodate. If the more number of alveoli are present, then the more number of absorption of carbon dioxide, sorry, oxygen is carried out. So that it is need to have more and small number of alveoli are present. There is a need to present in the lungs. These are the think and discuss questions and keep in your mind. Next here, another important one, epiglottis. So epiglottis, there will be, it is a flap-like structure in examination level. It is very, very important. Epiglottis in the pharynx region, upward. So it prevent the not to enter the food into the trachea. The main function of epiglottis to prevent the not to enter the food materials. Only it allow air into the lungs. Only it allow air into the lungs. So that is you have to keep in your mind. While breathing, epiglottis diverts air to lungs. Air to lungs. So whereas while swallowing, here what's happening? This is epiglottis diverts mass of food away from opening of larynx. So swallowing means minging up, engulfing, taking into the. So it is important to epiglottis prevent the food not to enter into the trachea larynx. That is the most important. It is a flap-like structure. It is a lid, act as a lid. So another one is important here. The epiglottis opens more widely when we take a breath. Air enter into the lungs. Nervous regulation is important in guiding the function of epiglottis and passes of food and air. So this is coordination process, breathing air and taking food, so that it is both breathing and that is the digestive system are under control by the nervous system. This is also keep in your mind. So here one of the experiment they given. Keep your palm around an inch away from your nose. Feel you are breathing out. Do not remove it until you have finished the activity. Breathe steadily for 2 minutes. Now take a piece of any food material. Chew. And before swallowing it, keep the fingers of the other palm on your throat. Now swallow it. What do you notice? Do you find any difference in breath while swallowing food? So what is helping you to swallow food without deflecting it to the windpipe? So what do you notice? Larynx, larynx moves upward, and so we should observe that larynx moves upward and forward. So that is voice box moves upward and forward. It while breathing out. So do you find any difference in your breath while swallowing food? So while swallowing food, we cannot breathe. We cannot breathe while eating food. We cannot concentrate it, or we cannot allow the air. We stop breathing. So that is you have to keep in our mind. So what helps to you to swallow food without deflecting into the windpipe? So epiglottis here should play a major role, should controlling this one. So here you should write for these questions answers. First one is the larynx, and we cannot breathe, and epiglottis. These you have to keep in your mind. And here mechanism of respiration, mechanism of respiration here they given. So mechanism of respiration have two important steps. That is internal external respiration, internal external respiration. Here this one is important. Here we can see that during respiration ribs should play major role in males. During respiration, this is one short answer question in examination level 100%. The question is uh, which given below, which organs, which part should play major role during respiration in males, means sorry, females ribs, whereas in males diaphragm. Diaphragm is a ring muscular ring which helps in the males during respiration. So once again ribs play major role in females during respiration. Diaphragm may play major role during respiration in males. So this is you have to keep in your mind. And so here both process inspiration and expiration. This is most important in examination level. So during the chest wall is made up of ribs, muscles, and the skin. The ribs are attached at an angle to the spine. If you run your fingers along one of your ribs, you will notice that it extends downward from the spine. So when we inhale, the chest wall moves up and expands. Yes. When we breathe in, chest cavities increases, and we should it will come forward. Chest cavities come forward and expand during breath, during inhale. So this is increasing the volume of chest cavity. So inside the chest cavity, the space is increases, space is increases, that is nothing but volume of the chest. When the diaphragm may be imagined the floor, if you think of the chest cavity as a room, when we breathe out, the diaphragm is relaxed. Yes. So immediate after, when we breathe out while expelling outside, diaphragm is comes down. So it is forms as a convex. So when the diaphragm is contracts during inhalation, it flattens out a bit as the dome moves downward. As a result, the volume of the chest cavity is increased. This point is most important here. When the diaphragm is contract while breathing, it flattens out a bit and dome moves downward. As a result, volume of the chest cavity is increased. So when you see here, when diaphragm is contract, so for example, this is the diaphragm. So when it is contracted, it will be flattens. It will be, while it flatten, the space is increases. The space is increase, immediately air is rushes into the chest cavity. So that is you have to keep in your mind during diaphragm contracts. So it will be flattened. Then space is increase, air is comes into the chest cavity. When the diaphragm flattens, the volume of the chest cavity is increased and its internal pressure is decreases, and the air from the outside rushes into the lungs. This is called inspiration. So just now I said, when the diaphragm is flattens during contract, chest cavity is increases and air rushes into the chest cavity, means lungs. That is called inspiration or inhalation. This is first step, mechanism of respiration law. First step, inspiration or inhalation. Next, during exhalation, it is reverse. The chest wall is lowered and moves inward. The diaphragm, when the diaphragm relaxes, when the diaphragm is relaxes, when the diaphragm is relaxes, and what happens? Its dome shape, the changes increase the pressure on the lungs. So immediately lungs lo ఉన్న pressure increase అవుతుంది. So the elastic tissues contract and squeezes air through the nose to the external atmosphere. This is called expiration. Means inside the, when the diaphragm is relaxes, chest cavity, the space, the chest cavity is decreases. When decreases the chest cavity, pressure is increases. Due to that pressure, air from lungs is expelled outside. So this is called expiration. This is called expiration, also called exhalation. So movement of rib cage during inhalation and exhalation. So lungs are spongy in nature and covered by a flora. It is important. Lungs are surrounded by a membrane is called flora. Lungs are covered by flora. They are not of the same size. The lungs towards left is slightly smaller packing space for heart. Lungs are protected by two membrane called pleura. Just now I said a fluid filled between these membranes protects the lungs from the injury. Also aid expansion of the spongy elastic fluid lungs. They slide one over the other. So breathing, have noticed that our own breathing is slow and swallow when you at rest. So we know that when we are relaxed, breathing is slow. When we run, breathing is increased. So the breathing is depends upon taking air and leaving out of air is depends upon the work which you carried out. When relaxed state, we will take slow breath. When we moving, you breathe fastly. So it is also under control by the brain breathing. So what happens during process of breathing? We, what happens during process of breathing? So while taking chest cavity increases, these are the changes, inspiration, expiration we see. Which gases need to be removed from our body during exhalation? Where does come from? It is come from the cells after oxidation of the glucose. This that is called carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide must be expelled outside. Why? Because if it is remain in the cell, it become poisonous. It leads to dangerous, become toxic. So what is the composition of inhaled air? So inhaled air consists some amount of carbon dioxide, lot amount of oxygen, and other nitrogen and other chemicals. When exhaled air is compared with inhaled air, is there any differences? Yes, the exhaled air contain more carbon dioxide than the inhaled air. So here the given table, inhaled air, when we taking air, contain 21% oxygen, 0.03 carbon dioxide, nitrogen 78. But exhaled air, see that oxygen is less, 16. Carbon dioxide is more, 4.4, 78 as the same. So this is second one is most important. Why? Because while breathe in, oxygen is important. While breathe out, carbon dioxide is important. Carbon dioxide must goes outside. Oxygen must comes inside. Nitrogen as usual, 78 is received, 78 is expelled. And the exchange of gases, you know that alveoli in examination is important. So this is the alveoli structure. Alveoli are the structural functioning unit of lungs. So like this, millions of alveoli are present. So here you can see this alveoli consist of one blood vessel and one cells. So what happening? This alveoli, oxygen is entered into the alveoli. This oxygen is entering into the blood vessel. From the blood vessel, with carbon dioxide, which is carrying out from the cells to the blood, then taken up by the alveoli. So here what's happened, this carbon dioxide goes outside. In this way, so this from this cell means alveoli continues as a branchiole. This branchiole carried to the bronchi, bronchi to trachea, trachea into larynx, larynx into pharynx, pharynx to nasal cavities to then nostrils. This is sending outside the exhalation or expiration. Here, oxygen is entering into blood, carbon dioxide leaving from the blood. This is called gases exchanging. At cell alveoli level means bronchi, lungs, it is occurring. So here another important, the total lungs capacity of human being nearly contain 5,800 milliliter of oxygen. Normally gases, that is normally at a rest we inhale and exhale the 500 ml of air approximately. So 1200 ml remains in the lungs after complete exhalation. This is you have to keep in your mind. The capacity is 5,800 milliliter, from which always the stable milliliter is 1200.